none other than Ed Grahalski, and he and his team have done some really interesting work, market research, especially in the educator space. So, Ed, if you wouldn't mind hopping on and giving us an update on what you learned.
Sure, thanks. Thanks, Tim, and thanks everyone for joining us today. As Tim was mentioning, we've done some research with the K-12 educator space. Part of what's happening now with the product segmentation strategy is we are going to be doing a little bit more deeper dives into our customers within these various verticals. And so this is really one of the first things that we're doing related to that new work. If we can go to the next slide, Marlene. So really, what are the objectives of this research? We really wanted to gain a better understanding of the challenges being faced today by educators. We still have this lingering impact coming out of the pandemic and some other societal factors like social media kind of playing into what's happening in the classrooms, as well as a more political environment in schools across the country. So we really wanted to get an understanding where teachers were in terms of their thinking and better understand where JA fits as a solution provider for educators given this environment. Part of this process is to identify differentiators to include in JA messaging and positioning. As you know, as you all know, if you've been with the organization a while, there's a lot more competition in our space, especially in that K-12 area. And so we certainly wanted to identify how we can separate ourselves from other organizations out there. And then help inform the naming protocols for JA learning experiences moving forward. MC and her team are currently working on the K-5 suite, and Beth from our team is working with their team to really kind of flesh out what that name will be. And we're really looking at being able to integrate a philosophy across the whole K-12 catalog as we start moving forward. Next slide, please. So what was our approach? We worked with a company called MCH Data, which is actually one of the leading data providers for educators, to pull a sample of 13,000 contacts. And then we also supplemented this with knowledge panel outreach, which is similar to what we do with our surveys with Ipsos and Wakefield, which you've all seen. And we broke out by areas of focus, whether it was an elementary educator, middle school, high school, school administrator, or district administrator. Next slide, please. And some of our top level findings with educators is student behavior is the major challenge that educators are dealing with. Again, the social disconnection that came out of COVID, the isolation that happens with social media engagement, educators are not feeling backed up by the administrations or parents. So this is the overwhelming concern. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, in the past, junior achievement has not really address student behavior. We've looked at things like time and money, and those are things that are on the teachers' minds, but this is by far the biggest problem they need solved. And unfortunately, when MC presents after me, she'll talk about a lot of the work that's happening around JA Minds that actually speaks directly to this. So I think this is really important timing for the organization in terms of how we talk to educators going forward. Next slide, please. Some other things that we wanted to learn out, these are teachers that we were able to vet out as being specifically in an area that would potentially use junior achievements learning experiences. So you're not going to see English teachers in here or science teachers or music teachers. This is a very targeted group in terms of who we were trying to reach. And so we wanted to find out which of the subjects that they or the school cover. And you know, if you look, you've got basically the 3 pillars out of the top 4. And of course, we talk about STEM on an ongoing basis. And one of the secondary areas we focus on is civics now, especially through JA BizTown. So that's a positive for us. Next slide. And then which of the following organizations do you or your school work with? Junior Achievement is the leading organization that they work with. And I will say, I'm not sharing the results here, but we asked teachers what their opinion is of Junior Achievement. Astoundingly positive, overwhelmingly positive. We didn't get any negative feedback at all in terms of that question. So a real testament to all the work that you're doing with schools. Next slide. We did ask, please describe in an ideal outside organization could offer what would it be? And it would be experiential, engaging programs. And again, educators see essentially our model as a way to cut through some of the challenges they're dealing with in terms of getting kids engaged and interested in really reaching them in an impactful way. Next slide. Just again, to identify their familiarity with JA. I often hear that, junior achievement is the best kept secret. And what I typically say is it depends on the audience you're talking to. When it comes to people who work in the space, you can see overwhelming familiarity with junior achievement with those kinds of teachers. Next. If you've worked with JA in the past, what is the greatest value that to you as an educator? The mentor volunteer in the classroom, nearly 50% responded. Again, kudos for the curriculum and educational content, the hands-on experiential learning experiences you might imagine, and then connections with the school or with the local business community as well as a positive. Next. So what we've done is we've used this to put together our messaging going forward in terms of discussing with teachers. So when we talk about behaviors, JA is here to help you with the support of JA team members in your community. So support message, differentiator. Most of our competition, especially when you look at EverFiCon, don't have people on the ground in those communities. We provide experiential and engaging learning experiences that cut through the noise and distraction. Again, addressing the behaviors and also a differentiator with the experiential component. Technology has its place, but in an age of social media and smartphones, more screen time isn't the answer, another differentiator. That's not to say that we don't have technology when teachers need it, but it's not, our platforms are not based on it or solely reliant on that. JA provides turnkey solutions to address this time question, the money question offered at low or no cost to schools. Other alignment aligns with state standards and why you became a teacher. So we're aligning with their values as educators. I've talked in the past around the Believe campaign around values-based positioning. And so that's another thing. Teachers are seeing a lot of political components within schools these days, and we have no agenda except to help kids. And so that's another differentiator for us. And again, proven impact. And so time frame and when you'll see resources from us. Next slide. So we'll have a delivery in early July of Educator Toolkit with videos, email, social media content, digital advertising, thought leadership pieces around this. And we'll also have an audience-specific campaign to educators. It'll be general. I know in the past we've had some engagement with educators. Our main thing is just a brand awareness, no specific call to action, just to make folks aware that junior achievement is present and kind of what we're able to do. And so again, those will all be happening around that back to school time.